Thank you for viewing this introductory trailer for the book Meaning in the Multiverse, which is targeting publication in winter of 2020. On February 14th, 1990, Voyager 1 sent us a selfie before there was such a thing, from 3.7 billion miles away. It is both a clear depiction of our insignificance and our intellectual earnestness. There will be few among us who do not find this photo pregnant with meaning. Most will consider it a unifying message. Furthermore, there is meaning in the achievement of Voyager 1, a scientific instrument launched from the planet, bent on a computed trajectory, sending and receiving data to feed further discovery, all done using our ingenuity and commitment to scientific discovery. There is much more meaning than even the unity and scientific advancements conveyed in this picture. There is the question in the surrounding backdrop and in the paleness, the dotness that sets the scene for the only narrative that most of us have ever known. A question of where in this picture meaning arises, if at all. The question on everyone's mind: why are we here? Is life meaningful? These questions have been asked by everyone at some point in time in their lives. It is the human condition to consider our purpose, both as individuals and as a species. Certainly, you can do meaningful things in your life. You can build community with your fellow humans, solve important problems the species needs to understand to move on to the next species-wide problem, and appreciate life and others to the point of a profound and lasting love. The but that figures into the question of meaning is when taking in a question of scope, as in, but is human life meaningful to the cosmos? For most of human history, meaning split along the cleavage plane between supernatural universal meaning and personal meaning. Gods gave humans a source of meaning greater than themselves. Our works or affiliations guaranteed our purpose was aligned with the creator of the universe. Purpose, just as profound as that granted by a supernatural entity, is possible by appreciating the nature of experience in the present moment or by flowing with existence in an activity you've deliberately practiced and can perform in the zone. This dipole of personal versus supernatural meaning assumes the universe is just a very uninteresting sort of stuff and is not plugged into experience. Meaning in the Multiverse is the first book to investigate different forms of all-natural universal meaning that give credence to the fact that the universe is less like the materialistic conception of matter on space-time and more like a massively parallel quantum computer. The far more likely scenario is that the universe is not just the space where stuff happens, but instead a vast system of processes. Ultimately, a massively parallel quantum computer responsible for reading and writing information and projecting both existence and experience into the space-time reality that we are all familiar with. Scientifically, this jives from our deductive logic of scientific discovery, with both what we know, mainly that the universe is discoverable, and all such discoveries, when reconstituted as algorithms in virtual reality, return high-fidelity facsimiles of our given reality. That is to say, that given a set of equations that fundamentally describe the universe, like the Schrödinger equation depicted here, and a powerful enough quantum computer, We could simulate our reality until, with enough detail in the equations and power in the quantum computer, it became real. And this jives with our speculations on what we don't know, namely how consciousness, your illuminated experience of ordinary existence, appears to not be solely a function of neurobiology, but is more a fundamental constituent of the universe. In this way, our intuitions on the nature of experience are similar to our intuitions on the nature of time. We believe the idea that time flows or consciousness is special to humans because that is intuitive, but the same process is responsible for the reality of both questions. The apparent flow of time and our unique subjective nature are subroutines on the massively parallel multiversal quantum computer. In order, therefore, to solve for the discoverable equation, the wave function of the mind, we will have to utilize quantum computers and solve the hard problem of virtualizing consciousness. While our knowledge and construction of virtual experience on a quantum computer may be decades in the making for the new academic domain of quantum computational neuroscience, our speculations on how different metaphysical formulations of the fundamental nature of reality will impact universal meaning will help us draw important conclusions on how to live our lives to the fullest. In Meaning in the Multiverse, 4 different ontologies or theories on the makeup of the universe are investigated, with reviews of the cosmological physics that describe their most important discoveries into the nature of existence and any psychological and neuroscientific impacts a universe of this type would have on human well-being and ultimately meaning. The classical materialistic picture of humankind's place in the universe is depicted in the upper left picture. To the right is the self-portrait we more or less each recognize when we are aware of the headless nature of consciousness that is the center of the idealistic ontology. In the lower left, the process and relationship ontology is introduced, where the universe is based not in things or in bits of information, but instead in processes in read-write relation to one another. Information and matter, like the one depicted here, the process of projection is the cosmological theory of the holographic universe. Finally, the parallel universe process ontology is depicted in the lower right, an ontology that accounts for the massive computational parallelism enabled by the multiversal quantum computer fundamental to the universe. You would be forgiven if you only knew the ontology of materialism, for it is by far the most successful idea in the annals of human history. Its scientific theories are responsible for everything from cell phones to the germ theory of disease. Materialism states that the universe is fundamentally made of stuff, including the translation of stuff to energy and the very strange sort of stuff that is dark. Scientifically backed by the 2 greatest pillars in cosmology, the standard model of quantum mechanics and the general theory of relativity, scientific materialists speculate that the most fundamental stuff, superstrings, play their tune over the complex shapes of extra dimensions depicted at right, known as Kabbalah manifolds. Universal meaning in an existence fundamentally material, known as the eyes of the world meaning, gives our conscious appreciation of the grandeur of existence a unique place in an otherwise object-laden universe. Idealism better thought of as ideaism, is the metaphysical concept that the universe is fundamentally made of consciousness or information. Recent insights on the nature of human perception and questions about the true nature of space-time have created an exciting new scientific venue known as conscious naturalism for unveiling a more fundamental role for information and consciousness. Universal meaning can take many forms in a universe fundamentally conscious, including being a physical or experiential part of this greater universal field of consciousness. By analogy, the panpsychic cog in the machine meaning imagines that if everything from quarks to the universe itself is conscious, then our place in the universal consciousness is similar to the role of a single neuron in your own consciousness. If, instead of considering the physical components of consciousness, like in the previous example, one were to consider the experiential components, known as qualia, then your experience of the blue shading on the brow of the figure to the right is similar to the universe's experience of your entire life's experiential narrative. Your life's experience are just a single qualia of God. Finally, if the universe is not fundamentally conscious, but instead, like the surface of a black hole, its bits of information are used to process the bulk of reality, then everything is stored somewhere, waiting for a defragmentation universal machine to replay the greatest hits from this heavenly database. Metaphysicists have a crutch, creating ontologies out of the latest technology. However, a universe fundamentally computational is different in that a computer, as proven by Alan Turing, is actually a universal machine, something that operates similarly throughout the universe on a universal process and the fundamental bit of information, the mark of a logical distinction. Processes and relationships have solid scientific backing within the holographic universe principle that projects the materialist reality in the 4D bulk from the idealistic bits on the surface of existence. Luke quantum gravity makes the relationship fundamental, an ontology that makes fundamental the relative nature of existence. Only certain processes are available to our single universe, the laws of physics. Anything else must be the product of creative knowledge. Humans are universal constructors, capable of using our knowledge to utilize resources to solve problems and develop new knowledge in a virtuous cycle. Our engineering of the world is meaningful to the universe. Our creativity and knowledge creation is a sort of deep learning algorithm instantiated by the universe. The most plausible explanation for the single particle dual slit experiment is that the interference is coming from particles in parallel universes. The use of many worlds interference on the nature of our existence has excellent scientific backing in quantum mechanics and quantum computation. The storage and computational abilities of a massively parallel quantum computer, fundamental to the parallel process ontology, enables truly universal meaning, an optimization algorithm that persuades us towards our best self. Furthermore, the interference of a distribution of zombie to conscious to transcendent minds across parallel universes is the neutral mechanism capable of explaining how unconscious brain matter might become conscious, why panpsychism is wrong when looking at just our space-time universe and is instead more like a parallel psychic distribution of more complex minds when looking across near parallel universes. While the different variations of universal and prevalent personal meaning are diverse and novel, the means to attain your meaning in the multiverse are the same broad categories outlined for thousands of years, what I call flowing with existence and mindful experience. Flowing with existence, being in the zone, or just flow states are those activities that, when practiced deliberately and outside of your comfort zone, are a timeless and thoughtless flow where high performance is not a matter of consciously guiding the activity, but where it is in sync with the universe. These transcendent states are both a means and an end, both the journey and the destination. Flow states are a source of inspiration and a state of being that benefits us psychologically, physiologically, and even socially. Flow states are enigmatic in that they are at once increasing our sense of self and our unity with the universe, tapping into both our being and our becoming. Mindful experience, both in meditative practice and in everyday life, yields some of the greatest opportunity for meaning, as well as enhancements of traits of equanimity, kindness, and compassion. Mindfulness is the state of taking in the fullness of your mind, the entirety of experience. Independent of the novelty of mindfulness to you, there is no other person to discover the inner workings of your particular first personhood. This is an experiment that only you can run. It is an interesting landscape, at once cognitively intriguing and emotionally salient. There is no single better place to start in your self-help than investigating how your own mind works. Meditation is a practice available to everyone that can enhance meaningful connections with the unadulterated felt experience. The greatest story we are still telling, the story about what it is like to illuminate the ordinary, to experience existence, to be in loving and kind relation with one another, and most of all, to appreciate it all with awe and curiosity, is the bedtime story we are reading the universe. We first discovered this work's meaning from us, for the universe, the eyes of the world meaning, back when we were considering that the universe was fundamentally made of matter and had no computational or even parallel components. This meaning might have seemed to be a consolation prize, the gadget given to metaphysicians by physicists to keep them occupied, quiet, and let them work. But the eyes of the world meaning is not the participation ribbon if all others runners-up in the speculation sprint cross the finish line first. Instead, it is the greatest and most essential component of existence, our ability to see the world for ourselves. If illuminating the ordinary material universe is the only part that we get to play in the whole shooting match, the one thing the universe is counting on us for, I'll take that deal every time. We do not think of it as a leading role, but it is, as we can't really imagine life without experience. Our natural world is a complex quantum computer, not only projecting parallel existence, but also persuading us to greater well-being until we arrive at an algorithmic optimum, experiencing the meaning in the Multiverse. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video trailer for the book Meaning in the Multiverse. Meaning in the Multiverse is targeting a winter 2020 publication. For more information or to get on my mailing list, click on the link below. Thank you again, and have a great day.